Okay, we're going to get started. Thank you all for coming to our session on design and government. So we just wanted to give a little bit of intro about design and government. So designers are in many parts of UK government. We estimate there's around 3,500 people across user-centered design in UK government. So that's across the design, content design, and user research profession. That's still less than 1% of the civil service. And we wanted to share some examples of where there are designers across government. So there's the designers working in DEFRA, so the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, across Bristol and Warrington. So they're working on services to help protect the environment. There's designers in UK Parliament in London, helping to open up the way that Parliament works. There's designers at the Home Office, based in Sheffield, Croydon, and London, working on immigration, passports, crime, fire, counterterrorism, and police. And HM Revenues and Customs, based all across the country, helping to bring in the money that funds public services. They have at least 100 designers. And there's different types of designers in government.
Yeah. As we're really working quite at scale, we have been establishing different roles of design. So while in other organizations, maybe there's a person who's doing UX design, and that includes user research and also kind of like service design, zooming in, zooming out, looking at interfaces. We have 4 distinct design roles now, actually for a little while, and we have established these as distinct roles that all government organizations can easily hire. So even as they might be not familiar with that yet, so they find job descriptions and different levels described for these roles. So we're having service designers. They are looking at kind of like the end-to-end. They're looking at whole journeys of users, so often zooming out quite a bit, looking at all the channels, looking not just at the front end that people might be using, but also all the back-end processes, procedures, looking at policy to quite a degree. And this is often focused at redesigning existing services, because a lot of stuff that government is doing has been existing in some form before. So might have been a paper version of that, or a call center, these kind of things. So a lot of stuff is related to like improving existing things that are there. And often what we see is kind of like isolated transactions that are sitting with one government department, but they are often related to like other things that another government department is doing. So we've been working a lot around certain service areas, like, for example, starting a business. So if you want to start a business in the UK, you might have to interact with 12 different parts of government, which is pretty insane. And usually they don't really talk to each other. So facilitating as well that to improve the overall service experience is one of the things service designers do. Then we have interaction designers looking into kind of like the details, actions of a user and what they need to do in order to use their service. So a lot of the stuff is screen-based, but it's not just the UI. It touches as well on the pacing, on the number of questions that a user might have to deal with. It looks at like where's the login, where's that actually placed. So again, like zooming out in that regards, and fitting and refitting all of those things. So interaction designers really refine and shape the user journey, often screen-based, and trying to radically reduce the complexity. In one instance, designers and as well policymakers working together were able to take out 49% of all the questions out of, I think, 170 questions that were in one distinct service, just looking at like what is actually in the policy, and then trying to reduce massively the complexity of that online interaction. And then we have graphic designers. There are not that many graphic designers in government, but they are very, very important, because if you use a platform like GovUK, there are templates that government has been using now for quite a while. And just consolidating that, making clear that all the hierarchies make sense, that everything has a dedicated purpose. So making sure that users understand what is actually being asked of them. So making sure that all information hierarchies are sensible. These kind of things are what graphic designers are looking after. And also we're running internal events like our Sprint conference. So graphic designers also looking after that branding in some instances. And then we have content designers. So content designers are dealing with words. They're writers, they're editors, they're communicators. They're looking at the communication as a whole. So it might be text, but it could be also videos. It can be images that illustrate a certain thing. Because, well, to be fair, most of our services are made up of words, right? So we have to get these words right. And then this is not considered really a design role, but it's closely related, is user research. So we have this as a singled out, as a separate activity, because in government, as I said, we are really operating at scale, and it's not the best idea to have designers actually testing their own things. So it is a distinct specialism, and designers working very closely with user researchers. And then obviously their goal is to understand what are the user needs, what are their contexts, what are their mental models, and then helps design the services around those. And over the years, we've been establishing quite a few building blocks for user-centered design, and we're just going to walk you through these. So one of the things, won't go too much into detail of that, but just to show you, we have a user-centered iterative process. It looks like many process diagrams, but we're starting with user needs. We have a discovery phase. We try to understand what is actually the problem. What are the user needs? What are their contexts? What are their capabilities? What are also the existing systems? What are existing policies? And then working with these constraints in an alpha phase, where we develop various solutions to the problem we think we have understood, and then iterating forward and building then the real thing in a beta phase, and private beta first, public beta after, and then launching the service to the wider public. Another thing is,
one of the building blocks for how we've scaled design, user-centered design, is the GovUK design system. It launched 1.5 years ago now, and it helps designers all across government design services faster, cheaper, and better by using the styles, components, and patterns of the design system, and it's all contributed to by the community. So there's a community tab up there with an open backlog on GitHub, so you can go in and see what emerging patterns are, what research is being added to them, and how they're developing.
A lot of our code, a lot of our design prototypes, also posters and stickers, all this stuff is on GitHub. So AlphaGov is the main repository. You can have a look there, look around, and as Kara said, like the backlog for the GovUK design system, with all the discussions around that, a lot of as well, like patterns and components that are not yet in the design system are being discussed there with a lot of evidence accumulated throughout government, which is pretty amazing.
And we have the government design principles. Since we've had these since 2012, they include principles like start with user needs, design with data, make things open, it makes things better. These are principles that we are always talking about, not just in GDS, it's all across government. We even see them in offices in the private sector. And these are new posters that were recently published. This is the new design of our posters. So we're very proud of these, and we encourage you to find these on GitHub as well.
And I think just in a few weeks we had like more than 20,000 views on the blog post, so a lot of downloads on GitHub, which is pretty amazing. We also like design a lot of posters because, well, we are designers, so we want to have as well like a very tangible thing. So we've been designing kind of like posters in different categories. So sometimes it's about our ways of working. Sometimes it's about, well, some tips for taking notes when you conduct user research. Sometimes it's some mantras and principles. So we've been accumulating, I think, quite a dozens of posters, and they're around design, they're around ways of working, user research. So these are specifically user research related posters. Find out what works, not what's popular. And then our rule that we have been giving ourselves for a few years now, being in a user research session 2 hours every 6 weeks, which is quite important and useful to like see what real people are doing.
And all of our visual materials are on Tumblr, govdesign.tumblr.com, including all of our stickers and posters. Just an easy way to share and link to the GitHub where you can find them.
Yeah. And then a thing we've been kind of like nicking from NASA, mission patches. So whenever a team has completed a kind of like one of those milestones, when they finish their discovery, when they did the alpha, you kind of like earn a mission badge. And you can see quite a few animals there. We're maintaining kind of a spreadsheet of all the animals we've been using, and you're not supposed to use an animal twice, because otherwise the team gets a bit angry that you've been using their tiger or their spider, but then there's so many spiders, so we keep finding like other animals, because then, of course, there are enough animals. But it's really a lovely conversation starter, because sometimes you are with another person from another part of government in a meeting, and you see a sticker you've seen before, and you can ask, hey, are you on that team as well? Oh yeah, I've worked on that service. So often it is a way to like start a conversation with another person, which is pretty nice.
And we have a really strong community across government, across all of our user-centered design professions. So we really encourage people from across different organizations to share and learn from each other. So that might be online through Google Groups or Slack, but we also do community meetups face-to-face across the country. So we'll do one in London, one outside London, so that we can regularly get together with these kind of sub-communities within user-centered design. So we have user research meetups, service design meetups, design meetups, accessibility meetups, which is really, really important for us to share, because sometimes it's not so easy to share for people in government using the internet.
And then we have been creating different types of training. So now we have, literally like 10 types of training. Last time we counted. So this includes user research, this includes accessibility. I was involved in creating 3 different types of service design related trainings: introduction to service design practice, and then service mapping masterclass, for example. And recently we've been also piloting a new power and privilege in design course, which is going to roll out soon. So there are really courses on different levels for people who want to move into design roles, people who have been working as designers potentially in the private sector and are moving into government, and government is a bit different, to be fair, so to make them understand what it means to design government services. Yeah.
We also like to share and blog about our work publicly. So we have lots of different blogs. We have a design and government blog, user research and government blog, the GovUK, Inside GovUK blog, and then other departments also have digital blogs. There's an MOJ digital and technology blog. We are always blogging about work that we're doing, new patterns, ways of working, how we've built our user research labs. There's many blogs, over 300 on user-centered design. So we really encourage you to check those out.
And then another very important thing is our inclusive culture, and we care a lot about our culture. This is a poster we've been putting up a few years ago, and they have been widely spreading. So this is our "It's Okay" poster. So it's like, it's okay to say I don't know, it's okay to ask for more clarity, it's okay to sing, it's okay to have quiet days, it's okay to not check your emails out of hours. So those kind of things that are clear to most people, but especially if you're you're arriving in our organization, it's maybe not common in other places. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware how we're thinking, how we're working. Yeah, and we have a little film.
I would say to any new designer coming to government, welcome. You are working in one of the most exciting places in the world for design.
We really genuinely do care about users. They really are the bottom line when it comes to designing services.
The design community is aimed at graphic designers, service designers, interaction designers, or anyone else that's doing design in government.
We have a designer induction course for new designers to help them get oriented. We've got the introduction to service design, which helps anyone in the public sector, and particularly civil servants who's interested in service design, find out what it is and how it works.
You're trying to learn new design principles, you're trying to learn the style guide, you're trying to learn all this stuff, and the community is really helpful for that, because normally any question you have, somebody's already ask it before.
When you join the community, you can join a mailing list to ask questions, to share research that you've done, to find out if people are working on similar things to you.
You can bring a piece of work to the Design Crit Day, which we run once a month, put it at a table with 4 or 5 peers, design peers from across government, and just get feedback on your work at whatever stage it's at.
You can also join Slack, sign up to newsletters to find out about events and training, and then you can go to cross-government meetups that happen all around the country.
Well, this is the Cross-Government Design Meetup. I think it's number 27. Really exciting event. People come from all over the country and they hear about what's going on in all the departments. Then there's some presentations that are deep dives into particular themes. Today is innovation. I'm really looking forward to that.
I always get a lot of energy from these sort of things. I find in other people who do what you do and being able to talk to them about some of the challenges it's always helpful.
So you can really get a sense of what's going on, and then everyone normally goes to the pub afterwards.
I think the community is such an exciting part of working in government. To be able to have this massive network of people to interact with and to learn from.
You're maybe the only designer on your team, maybe the only designer in your department, and actually there's a growing group of designers out there willing and able and ready to support you.